Welcome back for another deep dive. We're going to be looking at AI today, specifically the financial side of the AI revolution.
Right.
You sent over a really interesting article from the Motley Fool about
Yeah.
just how much tech giants are spending on AI infrastructure.
Right.
And wow, the numbers are pretty mind-blowing.
Yeah. I mean, it's really something. This isn't just sort of a passing fad or trend.
Right. Yeah.
This is a major shift, I think,
Yeah.
that is going to reshape pretty much every industry.
Yeah.
And, even Wall Street is predicting that AI could add trillions.
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 It's almost hard to even fathom that.
Yeah.
It's like we're in the middle of this like modern day gold rush.
Yeah.
With companies racing to stake their claim in this whole new AI landscape.
It is. And just like in a gold rush, the people who control the picks and shovels,
Right.
they're usually the ones that benefit the most.
Right.
And in this case, the picks and shovels, it's the infrastructure. And the companies that are building this infrastructure, they're spending billions and billions of dollars.
The article definitely makes it clear that data centers
No.
are a huge part of this.
Yeah.
It talks about how, companies are spending billions and billions of dollars on these massive facilities.
Yeah.
But why? Why are they so important for AI?
Well, you have to think about the processing power that's needed.
Yeah.
It's really, when you think about training advanced AI models,
Right.
like the ones that power things like, ChatGPT,
Yeah.
Bard, all those things, it's essentially like teaching a supercomputer
Yeah.
to think.
Right.
And these models, they need to sift through just mountains and mountains and mountains
Yeah.
of data to learn
Yeah.
and to improve. And
Yeah.
that requires just a massive amount of computational muscle.
So it's like they're essentially giant digital brains
Yeah.
housing thousands, millions of processors that are all working together
Yeah.
to run these complex AI models.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so just like building a physical brain,
Mm.
it requires a ton of resources, a ton of energy to build and maintain these data centers.
Right.
So, we're talking about massive construction projects,
Yeah.
specialized hardware,
Right.
energy consumption. Some of these data centers
Wow.
use as much electricity as a small city.
Yeah. It really is kind of mind-boggling to imagine the scale of, what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
And the article, it really lays it all out there.
Yeah.
It talks about how much money tech giants are spending on these.
Yeah.
It mentions that Microsoft, for example,
Mhm.
spent $20 billion in just one quarter
Yeah.
of their fiscal year 2025 on capital expenditures,
Right.
often shortened to CapEx.
Right. CapEx. Yeah.
And that's on top of the $55.7 billion
Right.
they spent in the previous fiscal year.
Yeah. The CapEx is basically the money that a company invests in physical assets,
Okay.
like buildings and equipment.
Okay.
So in this case, a huge chunk of that CapEx is going toward these data centers.
And it's not just Microsoft, right?
No.
The article lists Amazon, Alphabet, and Meta platforms
Right.
as some of the other big spenders in this AI infrastructure arms race.
Yeah, Amazon is projected to spend $75 billion this year
Wow.
on AI initiatives.
Yeah.
And their data center infrastructure is a huge part of that.
Right.
Alphabet, they're not far behind.
Yeah.
Over $50 billion in CapEx by the end of the year.
Yeah.
And then Meta platforms,
Right.
they're expecting to invest up to $40 billion in CapEx this year.
It's almost like they're competing to see who can build the biggest,
Right.
most powerful AI brain.
Yeah, there's definitely a little bit of that going on.
Yeah.
But it's also, they understand
Right.
that AI has the potential to transform almost every industry.
Right.
And they want to be the leader.
They want to be at the forefront.
They want to be at the forefront.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The article also points out some other companies, not necessarily your typical
Right.
tech giants
Right.
who are making big investments in AI infrastructure.
Yeah.
Oracle.
Oracle.
Yeah, Oracle.
Okay.
They're planning to spend nearly $14 billion in their 2025 fiscal year
Wow.
on CapEx. And then, of course, you got Tesla.
Right, with a self-driving car.
Self-driving.
Yeah.
They are projected to spend over $11 billion this year
Wow.
on AI infrastructure,
Yeah.
mainly for their autonomous driving technology.
So it's not just the, the
Yeah.
usual suspect.
No, not at all.
Yeah. It's becoming really crucial across all sorts of industries.
Yeah.
And speaking of key players.
Yeah. The article really shines a light on one company in particular.
Nvidia.
Nvidia, yeah. They are, they're the major player in this whole thing.
Yeah.
They design and manufacture graphics processing units.
Okay.
Or GPUs.
Right. Right.
Those are the chips that are powering all this AI processing
Right.
that we've been talking about.
So yeah, this is where the rubber meets the road, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in 2023,
yeah,
they controlled 98%.
98%.
98% of the market for their H100 GPUs.
Wow.
Which were kind of like the gold standard
Yeah.
for AI development at the
It's
time.
like they have a total stranglehold on the AI chip market.
It seems that way.
It's
yeah.
incredible.
And now they've started shipping their new Blackwell GPUs.
Oh, wow.
Which are even more powerful than the H100s.
Oh, okay.
And the demand for these chips is through the roof.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
So a lot of people are, watching them closely to see what this means for Nvidia's future.
Right.
And of course their stock price.
Well, speaking of that, the article mentions some pretty bold predictions from Morgan Stanley about how much these tech giants are actually going to spend on CapEx in the coming years.
They predict that Amazon, Microsoft, Alphabet, and Meta, those four companies, will spend a combined $300 billion.
$300 billion.
$300 billion in 2025.
That's an incredible amount of money.
It's amazing, yeah.
And Morgan Stanley also made a prediction specifically about Nvidia.
Yeah. They estimate that Nvidia will ship 800,000 units.
800,000.
Of their powerful Blackwell-based GB200 GPUs.
Wow.
In the first quarter.
Just the first quarter.
Of 2025.
That's incredible.
And Forbes is reporting that these GB200 GPUs are selling, somewhere between $60,000 and $100,000 each.
Wow.
So we're talking about potential revenue in the billions for Nvidia.
So it's in one quarter.
Just in one quarter, yeah.
And I know that their total revenue in the most recent quarter was like $35 billion.
$35 billion.
So it's clear that the demand for these high-powered AI chips is just exploding.
Oh, yeah.
And Nvidia is in a perfect position to capitalize on that.
Oh, for sure.
But what makes these GB200s so special?
Well, one of the key factors is speed.
Oh, okay.
The GB200 NVL72 system.
Okay.
It boasts a 30-fold increase.
Wow.
In AI inference speed compared to the older H100 system.
So it can just process information.
Yeah.
Much faster.
Much faster.
So not only are they making more chips,
right,
but the chips themselves are significantly more powerful.
Yeah. So it's like the hottest ticket in town.
Yeah.
But instead of a concert, it's access to cutting-edge AI processing power.
With all this talk about, Nvidia's dominance and these crazy revenue projections, what does this mean for their stock?
Well, that's where things get really interesting.
Yeah.
Because despite the fact that Nvidia's stock has already skyrocketed over 700% in the past 2 years,
wow,
there's a lot of people wondering if the stock is actually undervalued.
Undervalued, but their current price-to-earnings ratio, their PE ratio, based on their last 4 quarters of earnings, is 53.5.
Yeah.
Isn't that pretty high?
It is. But, in order to understand why some people think it might be undervalued, we have to, kind of dig a little deeper into what the PE ratio actually tells us.
Okay, yeah.
So the price-to-earnings ratio, it basically helps investors understand if a company's stock price is fairly valued compared to its earnings.
Yeah.
So a high PE ratio can mean that investors are willing to pay a premium for the stock because they expect strong earnings growth in the future.
Right.
But it can also mean that the stock is overvalued.
So how do we know if a KE ratio is like too high or just right?
Well, one way to get a sense of that is to compare the current PE ratio to the company's historical average.
Okay.
And when we look at Nvidia's 10-year average PE ratio, which is 58.8, we see that their current PE of 53.5 is actually below their historical average.
So even though the stock price has been going crazy, it might not be as expensive as it's been in the past.
At least relative to their earnings.
Relative to their earnings, right. Okay. But what about their future prospects?
Right. Yeah.
You know, what are people predicting for how Nvidia will perform financially in the years to come?
The consensus forecast for Nvidia's 2026 fiscal year, which begins in February of 2025, predicts earnings per share, or EPS, of $4.43, and revenue of $195 billion.
$195 billion.
$195 billion.
That's like almost triple their current annual revenue.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
And if their earnings and revenue grow that much, their forward PE ratio, based on those projections, would be around 30.6.
Wait, 30.6 when their historical average is like closer to 58?
That suggests their stock price could have a significant room to grow.
Wow.
Even from its current level.
Even from where it's at now.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
And remember, Nvidia has a history of exceeding expectations. So, while we can't predict the future, there's definitely the potential that they could even surpass those forecasts.
So it sounds like all signs are pointing to a bright future for Nvidia.
It seems that way.
But it is important to remember, that all this is based on predictions and forecasts. And there's always risk involved.
Of course,
in any investment.
Absolutely. While it's exciting to see the potential of AI and all that, it's important to remember, no one can guarantee what the future holds. And, past performance is not a guarantee of future results.
We'll continue to explore this very fascinating topic in part 2 of this deep dive.
That sounds good. Yeah. It really is fascinating how Nvidia has kind of become this central figure in this whole AI revolution.
Yeah.
But it also kind of begs the question of is there anybody else that's even close to challenging?
Yeah. Are they just totally dominating?
Yeah.
Or is there some competition?
I mean, it's definitely. It's kind of a David and Goliath situation right now.
Yeah.
There are other companies that are developing AI chips. But no one has really come close to matching NVIDIA's performance, market share, at least not yet. Intel they're making some moves in this space, but they've got a lot of catching up to do.
Yeah.
And then there are some smaller startups that are trying to kind of carve out their own little niches.
So it's competitive, but NVIDIA is definitely in the lead.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, could that actually be a risk for them? What if a competitor comes along and, suddenly they have this, breakthrough technology? Or, what if the market just gets, totally saturated with these high-powered AI chips?
I mean, those are valid concerns. Yeah. And it's just definitely something that, analysts are watching very closely.
Yeah.
But one of NVIDIA's, key strengths, I think, has been their focus on building an ecosystem around their chips.
Yeah.
So they don't just make the hardware. They also provide, the software tools and the platforms that make it easier for developers to build AI applications using their chips.
So it's almost like this, the more developers use it, the more valuable it becomes.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's created this this network effect.
Where the
bigger they get, the harder it is for competitors to catch up.
So it's like that snowball, rolling down the hill.
Yeah. But, that doesn't mean it's impossible for somebody to disrupt them.
Right.
I mean, the technology landscape, it's constantly changing.
Yeah.
And there's always the possibility that, some new player could emerge, with a more efficient chip design, a better development platform, or even a totally different approach to AI processing.
That leapfrogs everything that's out there.
Yeah, something that totally leapfrogs.
Yeah.
So
I guess even the biggest companies, they aren't invincible.
They're not invincible, no.
But for now, it seems like Nvidia is like riding this wave of AI investment.
And their chips are definitely, kind of a crucial element in powering all these innovations.
Across so many industries.
Yeah.
But I think, if we step back and look, like, beyond just the financial side, it really is amazing to think about the impact.
The potential impact.
Yeah. That AI could have on society as a whole, you know? We've touched on, like, self-driving cars, but that's, like, the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
I mean, AI has the potential to revolutionize so many different things.
Oh, yeah.
Healthcare, education, manufacturing.
Yeah.
Even, like, the way we create art and music.
It's a transformative technology that could really reshape almost every facet of our lives.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine, personalized medicine, tailored to your specific genetic makeup.
Yeah.
Intelligent tutoring systems that can adapt to different learning styles.
Yeah.
Factories where robots collaborate with humans to make products with, incredible precision and efficiency.
I mean, it sounds like something out of, like, a science fiction novel.
It does. Yeah. But that line between science fiction and reality, it's blurring.
That's really blurry.
And we're already seeing it being used, AI is being used to diagnose diseases earlier and more accurately.
And, like, personalize that educational content we were talking about.
Yep.
And even, like, automate tasks in manufacturing and logistics.
Right.
So it's really, it's exciting, but I think it's also
a little bit daunting.
Yeah. To think about all the, the possibilities, but also, like, the challenges.
It's both exciting and a little bit scary.
Yeah.
One of the things that people always bring up with AI is the impact on jobs.
Yeah. People are worried about being replaced by robots.
Well, and while AI has the potential to create new jobs and new industries, it's also likely to automate certain tasks that are currently being done by humans.
Yeah.
So, that could lead to job displacement in some areas. Yeah. And it's important that we start thinking about how to, like, retrain and reskill workers for the jobs of the future.
Yeah.
It's a complex issue.
It's a tough one.
Yeah.
There's no, like, easy answers.
Yeah, there's no easy answers.
But I think it's important that we have these conversations where we start thinking about solutions now rather than, like, waiting till it's too late.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And beyond just the economic implications, there are also, like, some ethical considerations we need to address as AI becomes more integrated into our lives.
Like, what kind of things?
Well, one of the big areas is bias.
Oh, okay.
AI systems, they're trained on massive amounts of data.
Right.
And if that data reflects existing biases in society, the AI system can actually
make it worse.
Perpetuate and even amplify those biases.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So that could lead to, like, unfair or discriminatory outcomes.
So just in areas like, hiring, lending, or even, like, criminal justice.
So it's not just, like, the technology itself. It's like...
It's the data.
Yeah.
It's the data that we use.
We got to make sure that data...
So it has to be fair.
It has to be, representative of everybody.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then there's also questions about transparency and accountability.
Oh.
As these systems become more, complex and sophisticated, it can be really hard to understand
how they're actually making decisions.
Yeah.
And that lack of transparency, it can be problematic.
Especially if, like, an AI makes a decision that has, really serious consequences.
Yeah. So it's a reminder that, while AI has the potential to do a lot of good, it's really important that we use it responsibly and ethically.
Yeah.
We need to have, like, clear guidelines and regulations in place to make sure that AI is developed and used in a way that
benefits humanity,
benefits everybody.
Yeah. It's not just, like, the policymakers and the tech companies that are thinking about this, right? It's all of us.
It's all of us.
Yeah. So as we're kind of wrapping up this part of our deep dive into the AI spending boom, here's something I'd like you to think about.
Okay.
What role do you think AI should play in our future?
Yeah.
What are you excited about?
Yeah.
What are you concerned about?
Yeah. Those are great questions.
And what steps do you think we can take, both individually and as a society, to make sure that AI is used for good?
Those are really good questions.
Yeah.
And I think it just highlights the fact that, this isn't just a technological revolution.
Right.
It's a societal revolution.
Yeah, it's going to affect all of us.
It's going to affect all of us.
And the choices we make today about how we develop and use this technology, they're going to have like really big implications.
For generations to come.
For generations to come, yeah. It's crazy to think about just in like the past few years how much has changed.
Yeah.
With AI becoming, so prevalent in like every aspect of our lives.
Yeah, it really is.
It's like stuff that we thought was like science fiction is just like becoming reality so quickly.
It's happening really fast.
Yeah.
And, and the amount of money that's being poured into AI research and development, it's like, I mean, we're really just at the very beginning.
Yeah, we're just getting started.
We're just getting started.
And it brings us back to, the article that you share from the Motley Fool and all those like crazy numbers about how much companies are investing.
Yeah.
What does it all mean for like everyday people? Like, should we be excited?
Yeah.
Should we be worried?
Well, I think it's understandable to feel, a little bit of both.
Right.
On the one hand, AI has the potential to, really solve some of the world's most pressing problems.
Right.
I mean, from new medical treatments to fighting climate change.
And even like just making our lives easier.
Right.
Like
automating all those boring, tedious tasks.
Yeah, all the stuff we don't want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it frees up our time to do the things that we actually enjoy.
Yeah.
And it can connect us, in ways that we never thought possible before.
But of course, on the other hand, there are those concerns about like, people losing their jobs and
the ethics.
Yeah.
The ethical considerations.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the potential for it to be misused.
Right. It's a powerful tool.
Yeah, it is.
And it could be used for bad as well as good.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's a lot to process.
It really is. It's a lot to wrap our heads around.
It is. It is.
But I like what you said earlier about approaching it with like a sense of informed curiosity. Yeah. I think that's really key. Yeah,
we have to kind of, educate ourselves about the potential, the benefits and the risks.
Not just get like caught up in the hype or the fear.
Exactly.
But like really try to understand it.
Be informed.
Yeah. And I think that's something we try to do here.
Absolutely.
On the deep dive, We try to like present the information and let people kind of like come to their own conclusions.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's a tool.
Yeah.
Like you said.
Yeah.
And it can be used for good or for bad.
Right.
It all depends on how we choose to use it.
And that's why I think it's so important to have these conversations now while it's like, still being the future of AI is still being shaped.
It's still being shaped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We need to like really think critically about like the kind of world we want to create and like work together.
Right.
To make sure it's
used for good.
Yeah, to make sure it's used for good.
Not for evil.
Not for evil.
Yeah.
So as we're wrapping up this deep dive into AI, here's my final thought for you to consider.
Okay.
How do you see AI impacting your life in the next like 5 to 10 years? Mm-hmm. What are you most excited about?
Yeah.
What are you most concerned about?
Yeah.
We'd love to hear.
Let us know.
Let us know your thoughts.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
This has been The Deep Dive.